You're thinking about moving to North Dakota, but you're not sure if it's a good fit for you? Today I'm going over the top 10 pros and cons of living right here in North Dakota. You're gonna wanna stay tuned for one of these cons because it's the #1 question I get asked from people relocating right here to North Dakota. And to be honest with you, it might be a huge deal breaker for you. So let's get into it. The first pro of living in North Dakota is affordability. North Dakota ranks 12 out of 50 states in terms of affordability. So you're going to see more affordable home prices. The median home price here is $283,000. So you're going to get more house for your money. With the exception of Williston and Watford City, they're always the caveat just because they are the oil field towns for the most part. But throughout North Dakota, it is very affordable home price wise, and also groceries. So you're gonna enjoy grocery prices that are below the national average. The national average is like $500 a person per month. And North Dakota is $300 a person per month. Obviously, if you like to eat organic, you're gonna pay a little bit more. But in terms of affordability, that is a really great thing. Now, with that being said, one thing that is not going to be more affordable in North Dakota is healthcare. You can expect for healthcare to be more expensive because of the limited providers that we have out here. And honestly, if you need to see a specialist, you're likely going to have to travel to Minneapolis or even some far distances here in North Dakota. You might be traveling 2-3 hours one way. So that is one thing you can expect to be more expensive. And if you're someone who needs to be close to certain medical providers, or you'd like to be a closer distance to Denver or Minneapolis, just make sure you reach out to us, give us a call, send us an email, shoot us a text so we can make sure you end up in that correct location that you need to be in. We help people relocate to North Dakota each and every day. But overall, our median home price here in North Dakota is really affordable considering what's going on nationally right now. So that is a huge pro, is affordability here. When you combine affordability with my #2 pro here in North Dakota, it can be a really great place to live. The second pro of living in North Dakota is the job market and the economy. North Dakota has a really steady job market. We actually have the second lowest unemployment rate in the nation. We have two major industries here, oil field and agriculture. So the Bakken oil field really put North Dakota on the map. It's made the news, everybody's heard about it. So that's a huge, well-paying industry here. It's home to a lot of major employers like Halliburton, Weatherford. So it's just great opportunity. And you also have some tech opportunities in Fargo. Obviously not the same as if you lived in a metro city, but they do have a Microsoft corporate office there. So that's one great opportunity in Fargo. And then of course there are a lot of healthcare opportunities throughout the state as well. Throughout North Dakota, there's a lot of steady job openings. My personal experience, it's always been really easy to find a job here. So I would consider the job market and economy here in North Dakota to be a huge pro. When you combine the job market here with affordability, it can really make your dollar go a lot farther than some other states. So I would say the job market and economy here is a huge pro in North Dakota. #3, school system. Let's talk schools. So the public schools in North Dakota rank around 23rd or 24th out of the 50 states, depending on which report you look at. So I would say overall, the public school system is kind of average here. Now in 2025, they did rank nationally above the average for core subjects like math and reading. Another thing is that in 2023 and 2024, North Dakota saw a huge uptick in homeschooling. So there's a lot of great support systems here in North Dakota for homeschooling. North Dakota in general is kind of considered a more free state for a lot of people. It's something that they think about when they move here. So if you're someone who's looking to go the homeschooling route, there is a lot of support here for that. And they also have some really great private schools in Fargo, I know for sure. Another little known pro about North Dakota is in-state college tuition is actually really affordable when you compare it with the national average. So I'd say overall in North Dakota, the public school system is considered average, but you have other really great options as well. Okay, number 4, lifestyle and amenities. So this is something that I hear from a lot of people. There's very little to do outside of work in some parts of North Dakota. So like hunting, fishing, if you're an outdoorsman, you're probably going to be good to go. If you're not, you're probably going to be a little bit bored here. If you're someone who is used to like outdoor activities year round, like if you have lived in Denver or even a southern state, you're likely going to be pretty bored here. We do not have the same amenities that you'll see in a bigger city. Like even Fargo is only 130,000 people, so it is a smaller city. Now it's going to have more amenities than a lot of your smaller towns, but it is not going to be anywhere near what you're going to see in a city. So we tend to make our own fun out here in North Dakota. In the summers, you might see people out like fishing, camping, swimming in the lake. Honestly, the lake is too muddy for me out here personally to swim in. But you start to make your own entertainment, you do adjust, but I would say overall this is definitely a con here in North Dakota. Number 5, community and culture. This is actually something I would personally consider a pro in North Dakota. You might hear varying opinions on this. I hear people say that it can feel very isolating, but I think that there's a good sense of community in a lot of North Dakota. It really probably depends a little bit on where you end up. So if you end up in somewhere bigger like Bismarck or Fargo, it might feel obviously a little bit more lonely at first as a city until you know your way around. They say that Williston and Watford is like, those are the friendliest 2 places because there are so many people moving from out of state for the oil field that they're very welcoming and accepting. Also, Minot has the Air Force Base, so there's also a lot of people coming from out of state there as well. Now, in a lot of the smaller towns, you might see seasonal community events for the kiddos, like pumpkin patches, summer events downtown. So lots of stuff to do that way. And people here are really always willing to help for the most part. You'll see people like pulling each other out of the snow or whatever it is. People are very willing to help. My personal experience has been that people here are really friendly for the most part in North Dakota. Now, with that being said, there is a pretty big drinking culture here. So if you're not huge into drinking or going out to the bars and stuff like that, you might struggle a little bit at first to find things to do. But I would say overall, community and culture is pretty big pro here in North Dakota. All right, traffic and commuting. So traffic's actually a huge pro in North Dakota. Commuting is a con. So this is both a pro and a con. So traffic, you're not going to see the same level of traffic you'll see in Denver, Minneapolis, in Miami. You'll never see that kind of traffic here in North Dakota. You will see more traffic, of course, in places like Fargo and Bismarck, but if you're looking at like Williston, Watford City, or any of those smaller towns around there, you can get anywhere in just about 10 minutes. So I really love that about North Dakota. So traffic is a big pro here in North Dakota. Now, commuting, on the other hand, that can be a con because you might be commuting for 3, 4, 5 hours just to make it to like a Costco or a mall. You might be driving 6 hours to Fargo to go to the mall. I think Fargo has the best mall in North Dakota, but commuting can be a real thing. And like I talked about earlier in my video, if you have medical appointments that require specialists, you might be commuting some pretty long distances. Now, we help people relocate here each and every day, so give us a call, send us an email, or shoot us a text if you need to be somewhere specific in order to get to medical appointments or whatever it might be, so we can make sure you end up in the right spot. But overall, traffic is a huge pro. Commuting can be kind of a con here in North Dakota. let's talk about some other location specific pros. North Dakota doesn't actually have a ton of HOA communities, which I think can actually be a big pro, because you don't have someone telling you what color you can paint your mailbox or what color you can paint your house. If you have extra vehicles, boats, campers, if you have space on your property, you can likely park them there. It's just a little bit more free. We even lived in an HOA, and it wasn't very regulated. It was pretty nice and free, and they took care of the road maintenance. So I would consider that a positive out here. Now, if you're someone who wants to end up in an HOA, just make sure you reach out to us so we can make sure you end up in the right area, because I know some people actually like HOAs. Okay, another location specific pro. We don't experience the same level of natural disasters that you might find in other areas, like extreme flooding, extreme fires. Now, we do have some fire risk out here, but it's not as extreme as what you might see in like California. One thing to remember though is you will experience a blizzard or two. We had a pretty bad blizzard here in April of 2022. Yes, you heard me, April, when most people are having spring. We had a blizzard, and we lost power for 12 to 15 hours due to the high winds. It was restored pretty quickly, but the roads were shut down. So you are going to experience a blizzard or two. You have to make sure you have enough supplies for that. But for the most part, we don't have the same level of natural disasters that you might see in a lot of areas. Of course, we don't have hurricanes. You will see tornado risk in the summer from time to time, as well as potential hail. But for the most part, it's a lot more mild here than it might be in other places. So that's yet another pro. Another pro to living in North Dakota, actually, I'm going to call this one both a pro and a con. So the airports in North Dakota are super easy to navigate. You might pull into the parking lot, check your bag, go through security, and be at your gate within 20 minutes. So it is so convenient. But it's going to be likely more expensive to fly out of North Dakota. And if you're traveling south, you can probably expect a pretty long travel day. You might expect 10, 12 hours in the airport, depending on where you're going south. When I fly to Florida, sometimes it's like a 12-hour day in the airport. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And you'll have connecting flights in Denver and Minneapolis for most places that you go. Overall, I would say the airports can be both a pro and a con out here, but those are just a couple of location-specific pros that I have for you. Like I said, stay tuned for the last one, because it's the number one question that I get asked when people are moving right here to North Dakota. Okay guys, I need to be real with you for a second. Number 8. Nightlife and entertainment. Let's be real, North Dakota has a lot going for it. It's friendly, it's safe, it's affordable, all of that good stuff. But if you're used to the 24/7 buzzing energy of the city, North Dakota is likely going to feel pretty sleepy to you, anywhere from Fargo to Bismarck to Minot. A lot of places might close earlier than you're used to, even the bars and restaurants. So, and you'll see a whole lot of dive bars, but if you're looking for that 24/7 buzzing energy, like a Miami kind of vibe, you're definitely not going to find that here. Most places in North Dakota have more of a small town rhythm, so it's a lot more quiet. If you're moving from like Denver or Minneapolis, you're not going to see like a new restaurant on the corner every weekend for you to try out. Even though Fargo does have somewhat of a growing downtown scene with some live music and comedy shows and stuff, it's still not going to be the same effect like if you're coming from Denver, for example. So if you're a night owl and always looking for things to go out and do, you're likely going to be a little bit bored. Now, when you add in the winter aspect, when it's -10, -20 outside, you're likely not going to feel like going out for things that you don't absolutely have to go out for. A lot of people build really tight-knit groups of friends, and they have their family and do game nights or whatever indoors. So if you're looking for like a more simple kind of life, it could feel like a breath of fresh air to you. Now, what I do usually is take the money that I would have saved on entertainment from going out on a regular basis, and if I have a 3 or 4 day weekend, I might travel to Denver, Minneapolis, Western Montana, Spearfish, South Dakota. There are so many places you can get to from here on a 3 or 4 day weekend, and you can explore a ton of new places as well. But If you're looking for that 24/7 buzzing energy of a city and kind of nightlife vibe, North Dakota is likely going to feel very sleepy to you. Overall, there's a very small town rhythm here. Number 9, this is another big pro here in North Dakota, aging and infrastructure. So we have a really nice mixture of newer and older homes here. So you're going to find some of those older homes that still have their original character to them, and maybe they've been renovated or maybe they need some updating, but you'll find that nice mix here. And we don't have a lot of those large national builders like Lennar and DR Horton, so they're not necessarily overbuilding here in North Dakota, and I actually think that's a really good thing, because if you look at some other markets like Florida, a lot of home sellers are having to compete with these large builders in order to sell their home right now, and it's actually really tough for them. So I think that's a big pro here. And we do have some smaller local builders throughout this state, so we have some connections with them. So if that's something you're interested in, if you want more of a newer home or an older home, make sure you reach out to us so we can make sure we find something that fits your needs the best. Just give us a call, send us a text, or shoot us an email. In terms of infrastructure, there's a lot of parts of North Dakota where you find a lot of newer commercial buildings, because North Dakota has actually expanded quite a bit throughout the years. I know Williston has quite a few newer buildings, and Fargo as well is expanding. So honestly, I think aging and infrastructure is a big pro here in North Dakota. Okay guys, this is number 10. This is the biggest question I could ask from people relocating to North Dakota. What is the winter really like? What do I really need to be able to survive the winter? So the winter is extremely cold, extremely harsh winter conditions. We are the second coldest state in the United States. So Alaska is the first coldest. We're the second. You're going to have negative 50-degree temps for a week or more on end, depending on where you end up moving in North Dakota. Some places are colder than others. But let me tell you something. I didn't know what the real feel was until I moved to North Dakota. The wind chill out here makes it feel so much colder than it actually is. It feels like it can cut right through your skin. So the temperatures are harsh. You're not going to see a lot of sunlight in the winter. And our winters are very long. They can range from October all the way to the end of April. So if, like I said, if you're someone who needs like a warmer climate, North Dakota might not be for you. But I'm going to give you a couple of tips that can help you a lot in the winter. So make sure you have a car with 4-wheel or all-wheel drive for sure. You might want a block heater. It's nice if you can keep your car in the garage during the winter to keep it warm, to make sure that it's able to start in the morning. I haven't really had too many issues with my car starting, but I do try to keep it inside of a garage. One thing people don't really think about that don't live here is how cold it is to touch the gas pump when it's negative 20 outside. So always keep a pair of nice gloves in your car and a winter survival kit in case you break down on the side of the road. If you guys want more information on that, just give me a call, send me a text, or shoot me an email. We can make sure you're all set up for the winter, but there are some things you can do to help prep for it. Believe it or not, you will somewhat adjust to the winter. One thing I hear about the winter is that it can be very isolating, because when it's negative 50 outside, it's really hard to motivate yourself to go anywhere that you don't absolutely have to, which actually brings me to another point. You're going to want auto start for sure, because when you have to go outside when it's negative 20 or 30, you want your car to be running while you run in the store or whatever it is. So auto start is almost a necessity here if you ask me. But those are a couple of my tips on winter. I personally would say that winter is the biggest con to living in North Dakota, because I really do prefer more of a warm tropical environment. But those are the top 10 pros and cons of living right here in North Dakota. We help people relocate here each and every day. We just need to know a couple of things that you like and a couple of things that you don't like, and a little bit about your lifestyle, so we can make sure you end up in the right area of North Dakota that's perfect for you. So give us a call, send us a text, or shoot us an email, and keep an eye out for my next video. I release a new video about living in North Dakota each and every week.